Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Jesse Jackson III, best-selling author and facilitator of the Don't Kick My Book and Training series and the Fight Prevention Institute, which we're so proud of, is received a 93% rating from everyone who's attended. That means schools, no individuals attended. It was schools and school leadership teams, meaning they found it very, very helpful. I believe that fighting has become, it's going to require a different approach to fighting because post-pandemic, we had fight problems before the pandemic, but post-pandemic, we're seeing an increase in what I like to call poverty mentality. Now, a part of the miseducation about poverty is that poverty's money. Well, if poverty was money, that means the more money I give you, the better you act. That means the more title funds we get, the kids will get better. That means we can lift them out of poverty with the economics. That just doesn't check out. It's very inconsistent. It's not true. Poverty is a mentality. You can be a billionaire and be impoverished. And we see it often, right? What's a sign of poverty? Greed. You can be dead broke and be greedy. Okay. Not understanding the poverty mind. And a lot of people not even understanding their own poverty in education. It's mental. It's how you see things. For example, what is the working middle class values education? Right? The working middle class will say, have discretion on when to fight, when not to fight. The middle class would often say, back in my time of younger days, let's step outside, let's take this outside. Meaning they understand that it's a time or place for this. Not anymore. You got the poverty mind on site, plan fights, texting, meet me here so we can fight, taping fights. I got gunfire going off at one of my school football games, and our kids, their poverty is taping it. They don't get it. So if you are one of those schools that's having a big issue with fighting, particularly at the secondary level and high school level, there's just some things that you need to hear, some understanding you have to put your campus in a safe position of fight prevention. It is not something that is solved via just with more security. That can help you in one way, but I work with law enforcement and I work with many school resource department and sheriff departments. That's not going to stop it. It's things they have to understand. I have some resource people who know with the things I'm saying, as a lot of stuff I got was from them, being around them working with me and vice versa. And they understand the goal is prevention. The goal is to disperse. The goal is not to break up fights. The goal, we do not want to be in a position where we're breaking up fights. I'll tell you, one campus that I was there in the great state of Ohio recently, everything that we talk about in the Fight Prevention Institute, they actually did. And we actually got in front of a fight that started right at the rumblings. We're top of the morning. Well, they've been trained. They've been aware of details. And so with their knowledge and understanding, the decisions they were able to make from the administration point to get everybody in position, to stagger the movement. So we knew we were about to have a problem. So we got in front of it. And that prevented the foolishness. Now, here's the thing where a lot of people get it totally wrong. We do not control our children's neighborhood and home environments. We know by the data, the fighting and crap is happening out there in the community on social face, right? That's a facetious way of saying social media. We know it's happening on the outside and we don't control their homes, but we do control our schools. That means when you know that, you have to take a different approach. Now, this is where if you have these schools, people call us and have made all type of inquiries. Well, send us some information of where a school where this works. You shouldn't even be coming because you're the middle class person I'm talking about. You're trying to bring a middle class mentality to a street fight. Doesn't work. What makes good teachers? They think a good teacher thinks like a bad student. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to solve essentially criminal activity with teacher brains. That's why you would ask me what another district is doing when I have proven this consistently. Everybody's got to assess their own community and environment. And failing to understand that creates the problem that you have to manage. I understood many years ago as a traveling professional that even in a district, I got one is 3 schools, one is 5 schools. Those schools in that small district, they operated as 3 separate communities. I personally witnessed it. What that means, I got to know my community first before I'm looking for what another school is doing in another part of town. I have schools that are literally like 2 to 3 blocks from each other. Totally different worlds. This is stuff you've got to understand, and this is what we've got to be trained in. Our training is not helping us to solve the tough and difficult matters. This stuff can be trained. So what our institute is about is fully understanding the residual of trauma, understanding street dynamics, fully understanding the destructiveness of poverty mentality, what it is. It's not money. What it is doing in our classrooms, what it is doing to the mentalities of the parents and kids. I got parents bringing kids to fight. I got parents coming up here to the school to fight kids. I got parents coming up here to fight teachers. Poverty mentality is rampant. And you trying to solve it with that middle class foolishness and well, this is the system. You better know what you're doing when it comes to something this serious. So we talk about how to prevent. There are systematic ways to decrease fighting with prevention, and that requires the hardest part, all the adults to be working together. And that's what we find is the major deficit on most campuses. The staff is very disgruntled at what kids are allowed to do. Our policies have sort of created crippleness, and it creates unsafe situations. So what we're talking about is finding the right policies for fighting. That's what I ask every school that comes in. What is your current policy on fighting? I've heard all types of policies. And listen, if I hear something that, hey, I want y'all to take a look at this. I want you to be able to, over the summer, do your homework, do what you're supposed to do. Bring your lawyer in, bring all your administrators in, bring your soup in, bring the cabinet in, bring your school board in. Is this policy deterring fighting? Because if we're talking about we got 1 day in return, if we're talking about 1 day or 3 days, and it's not discouraging fighting. One of my districts had 2 fights, then we put you up for exposure. Well, why would you give them 2 fights? You could have got to that conclusion with 1. See, we have to sit down. There must be training. I got teachers trying to evaluate the streets. It's not working. It's dangerous. It's going to get somebody killed. And guess what? It already has. It gets people hurt. It gets people hurt that's trying to break it up. It gets kids hurt that's engaging. Always remember, you are your training. If you are having problems with the issue of fighting at the junior high or high school level, please find you a date. On my schedule, you see the dates of our Fighting Institute down there. I do them live. And you get access to it after for a couple of days, right? You get to go back and you get our fight prevention book. Get in there and listen. You're not losing anything from going to the training and expanding your mind and understanding of what you need to do to create a safer environment and proactively get in front of this foolishness, which is fighting. No school can afford to be known as a fight club or unsafe campus where fighting's out of control. It is a horrible reputation, makes it very hard to keep retaining a principle that can't maintain safety and security. If you know you need help, and I know you do, if you're watching this video, you need help. Register for the course. This thing, listen, get in the course. I can't say anything because the people that I'm working with, their districts, whether they're in inner cities, rural areas, suburban city areas, the fighting issue is scary. It's getting worse. It's getting warmer. It will not improve. It's going to be a very difficult spring, very hideous summer, horrible and even worse fall. You have trauma's not improving. So as the trauma gets worse, we've got to get better. We need more knowledge. That's what I'm here to do. Get into our Fighting Prevention Institute. I know it'll be a great value and benefit to you. Find a day that works for you. I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in class. Be well.